Welcome back to 1 Minute Recess, where apparently we're trying to figure out what the fuck is going on here on Earth and around the universe. It's going to be an intergalactic episode. Maria, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, everyone, and aliens that might be tuning in. I like you. My name is Maria Teresa. And I'm so excited for this episode because we get to talk about some of our favorite subjects.
I'm so excited for this episode. My name's Annette, and I believe in aliens too, Barack Obama, and I can't wait to talk about this. All right, let's get right in.
Let's go
to the rundown. What are people saying on the internet, Maria? What are the bots saying?
Yeah, I think this may be a friend of yours, particularly Cassandra 2 on YouTube says, "Yep, you corrected me during the Super Bowl." So did you correct anyone during the Super Bowl?
I may have. I was out there yelling at people that it wasn't freaking Liam and that you guys got to stop believing all the shit you see on the internet.
That might be it.
Please double check your sources before you post shit. Thanks, friends.
Please, it happens everywhere too.
And it happens to the left and it happens to the right and everybody in the middle. So check your sources. Double check your sources.
Yep. So she had that. Thank you for that. And then we have the Animal Foundation stuff is really a thing.
Ooh,
another
good.
Comment on our animal situation in Las Vegas, especially, said, "I tried to turn in a lost cat story time with Sisyphus on TikTok. I tried to turn in a lost cat that we found at the Jones location 7 years ago and was threatened with animal abandonment and or abuse charges if I left it. I took the cat home, which had to be sequestered from my cats, and luckily found the owner online. But hopefully they fix that too."
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that happens, or sometimes there's like a rogue employee that does things that probably are not up to snuff, or maybe the shelter was full at that moment. But yeah, it doesn't sound right. Call a different shelter, call a rescue.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound.
Yeah. Definitely support your local rescues out there, but glad you found their owner. So yeah, no buts this time. Maybe because we didn't say the magical name, Elon Musk. So let's see what's going on in Nevada, in Vegas. Lots of stuff.
Trash.
Some of the most ridiculous and crazy awesome things this week.
All right. Let's go to the sex workers because I really want to talk about this because I was stoked when I read this article. You and I have dreamed of working to unionize sex workers across Nevada. So, as many of you know, if you don't live in Nevada, you may not know this. If you live in Nevada, you probably do. 15 of the 17 counties in Nevada have legalized sex work, meaning brothels, right? So you can go in, have a good time, support your local sex workers, tip them well, tip the staff at the facility well, but it's legal, right? There are certain requirements that go along with it, like testing to keep everybody safe and making sure that, the sex workers are taken care of. But past that, just drive right over the hump to Pahrump, and it's legal there. The counties it's not legal in, unfortunately, is Washoe County. It's all based on population. It's what we call a pop cap, so population cap. So Washoe, Clark County, and then the capital district of Carson City. Now, you can just hop, skip, and a jump right over the hill in Carson City, and there are brothels right over the hill in the other county. But it is illegal in those 3 counties. So 15 of our 17 counties have legalized sex work. Now, if you come to Las Vegas, you can go to strip clubs. There are probably escorts out there doing various activities, and it should be legal in Clark County. Studies actually show, rape and other things go down when legalized sex work is present. Of course, we need to protect our sex workers, though. And Maria and I have long wanted to unionize our sex workers. So, Maria, take it away. There's an effort afoot that we should all be supportive of.
Yeah. So the news that we have, very exciting, and we'll post the link in the notes as per usual at the hump, over the hump in Pahrump.
Where you go to hump in Pahrump.
Where you go to hump, literally. Sherry's Ranch. and is having an actual unionization effort, and it would be the first ever. It's pretty historic, pretty amazing. And so, as Annette mentioned, or if you're just joining the pod or just tuning into this part, we do have the legalized sex work, but now these workers, one of the workers, whose name is amazing, Jupiter Jetson,
Very on brand for this episode.
they said, we want the same things that any other worker wants. We want a safe and respectful workplace, which is highly important anywhere in any workplace. And it's like the basic tenets of unionization or any type of labor progress is to have the people that actually do the work have good benefits, the pay they deserve, and the respect that they deserve. And these people deserve no less.
Majority of the brothel's 74 sex workers submitted a petition to unionize with the NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board. I would have paid good money to have seen the Trump administration and their cronies who are working at the NLRB now get this petition. I would have paid real good money for this. But yeah, this is cool. And it also would make it so that it was spurred because there's a new independent contractor agreement issued in December that would give the brothel power to use women's likeness without permission, which is, in my humble opinion, a big no-no. Like, these people should have access to how their images are used or how their bodies are used or whatever rights they need to have to keep themselves safe and healthy. And it's even if they no longer work there. So obviously with all the stuff, with privacy, AI, all the stuff we've been talking about the past couple of weeks, that's obviously very important. And this is how you end up on the face of a Japanese lubricant company without ever having a signed document. And obviously you should get royalties if they're using your image. So this is really important. Prostitution is only legal in a handful of countries, including Germany. And organizing efforts vary. In your homeland of Spain, where prostitution is unregulated, the government approved a union for sex workers in 2018, but a court quickly outlawed it, saying it made the exploitation of prostitutes, and we don't love that word, prostitutes legal. So, go workers. We're very pro-worker. I think we should have unions all across the state in our brothels.
Yeah. So,
and I think
shout
it
out.
should be legal in Washoe, Clark, and Carson City, because why not?
Absolutely. World's oldest profession should.
Pro sex work on this show.
Yep.
You get to choose what you do with your body.
Exactly. Do what you want. Also, shout out to the Communications Workers of America, who would be the umbrella union for the local, because they have, if you go on their website, they have the most varied industries that they represent. They represent AT&T employees, news reporters, and now hopefully sex workers.
And our CWA guy in Nevada, Mark Ellis, is one of my favorite union people on earth. So good job to CWA. Always a big fan.
Shout out. Yes.
That was good news to start with. We never get good news to start with. That's why I hopped to it, because I was like, this is good news.
It's good news. Yeah. Yeah.
What a refreshing afternoon.
Yeah. We need that.
Let's go into our next topic, because I'm super stoked about this one too. Barack Obama says aliens are real.
Yes.
I freaking knew it. But they're not housed at Area 51, he says. Now, he says he never heard they were housed at Area 51 unless they're keeping a giant secret from the President of the United States. He said all this on a podcast. But he confirmed the existence of aliens.
They're real. Yeah.
Unequivocally. He was just like, yeah, they're real.
Yeah, they're real. And for President Obama to be so quick to agree with something, who's one of the most judicious people next to Brian Sandoval, really thinks things through, super cerebral, for him to be like, oh no, they're here.
Listen, Harry Reid knew. Senator Harry Reid, he knew. That's why he wanted all those documents to be put out in the open. So the Las Vegas Review-Journal did this article, but it was him on a podcast where this came out. And he just straight up said, aliens are real, but they aren't at Nevada's Area 51. Now, how much do we believe that? And also, do we think there's other stuff all those shops that Robert Bigelow has all around the city of Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Do we think there's alien memorabilia in those?
I think so.
I
It
think so
has to
too.
be. Yeah.
Because Senator Reid was like too close to all that.
Right.
I knew they were alien. Listen, if they're picking up our podcast, come get me.
Come get us.
I am a fan. I want to go. I want off this planet. I want to come with you.
Yeah. Wherever. Yeah. Wherever. Even if you're the Borg at this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would love to hear the reaction, or I don't know. I haven't checked it, but George Knapp must be loving.
Oh, he must be
this development.
thrilled.
Yeah.
He must be like, yeah. I mean, listen, I just Googled it because I was like, who did stories on this, right? Because this is going to make headlines, right? It's not just the RJ that picked this podcast up where he said it, because I've seen it all over the internet.
Mhm.
Time Magazine, USA Today, The Hill, Fox News, New York Post. I mean, that is a very diverse grouping of news outlets. And literally it says, Barack Obama says aliens are real, but they are not being kept at Area 51. I knew they were real. Why would Barry's not going to lie to us.
No. No. He's literally the most careful person on Earth. That
So
man.
my follow-up question to him would have been, Barack Obama, how do you know this?
How do you know? Yeah, exactly. Why that podcast didn't just turn into an hour-long conversation about that?
What else do we need to know? Where are they?
Mm-hmm.
Are they off the... There was a senator last week, some Republican douchebag, but there was a senator last week that said that they were like being hidden off the coast of the United States underwater, which we've heard many times before. So it's like, that's a theory, right? That's been a theory. Is that where they are?
Walker Lake.
That's been a theory. Also submarines.
It would be hilarious if those are the submarines and that is all real.
I just need to know where they are.
Mm-hmm. George Knapp is going to be on the case. We're going to see a season 2 of that Netflix documentary.
Yeah. So Barack Obama says they're real, but I haven't seen them. So he hasn't seen them.
Maybe he means in person. He's only seen photographs.
Maybe he hasn't seen them alive, right? He's not one to lie, but he's also like not going to tell us everything. But probably going to freak us out. So, full disclosure, I love astrology stuff. You know this. This is like my new. Well, not my new thing. I've loved this forever. Anyways, I've been watching a few astrologers because this is a really important time in astrology. You got so this week we've got Lunar New Year, which, by the way, happy Lunar New Year, everybody. This week you have a new moon. This week you have, there's something else. Oh, there's that whole Saturn Jupiter thing with like 4 signs. Sagittarius, one of them, like a multi-year bad shit ends.
Yeah.
And then there's like an eclipse too. So there's all this like energetic stuff going on. And these astrologers on the internet, take them for what they are, take them with a grain of salt. But they were like, who knows? Aliens could come at the end of the month. Wouldn't that blow your mind?
That would be amazing. And Barry's just getting us ready.
Barry's just like, hey, let me prep you guys so you're not freaked out when they show up.
Like, that's what we need. Maybe that's the salvation from like nuclear disasters.
There was a whole documentary that was like, they've been trying to warn you, dumbasses, not to nuke yourselves. That was on Netflix, by the way, everyone. I love aliens. I watch a lot of alien stuff, too. Anyways.
Fingers crossed for the end of the month.
Aliens, come get us. That's all I know.
Mm-hmm.
That news this week literally made my whole life. I was like, oh, thank God they're real. I knew I wasn't crazy. I mean, I'm crazy, but I'm not that crazy.
Yeah.
Can't wait. Let us know. Are you excited about the aliens? Because I am. That made my whole week. All right, let's get into dipshit. Trump appoints... What's this? Khaleesi? Okay, whatever. As U.S. attorney, as Chada, the racist, fights disqualification before the Ninth Circuit. Maria, would you like to get into this one?
Oh, boy. Where do we start other than they just keep losing?
Ninth Circle of Hell is where we start.
Yeah, the Ninth Circle of Hell. And Segal.
So go down the rabbit hole. Because some people may not know about Segal Chada's racist, horrific ass.
Yeah, and so there's a lot, but there's one particular incident where when she was running for governor, or was it Senate? She's an also ran, so
Attorney
I don't remember
General.
what.
She was
Attorney
running
General.
against
That's right.
Aaron Ford for Attorney General.
Yeah, she was running against Ford, who is running now, and he obviously won because he's our Attorney General now. And she had this commercial where there's a noose at the end of it, and it was a commercial attacking Ford.
And Ford is a black man. So she's a racist, vile piece of shit. And she lost that race. And then she was appointed to be our U.S. attorney. Now, she replaced my dear friend and colleague, former Speaker of the Nevada Assembly, Jason Frierson, aka Speakeasy, as we love to call him, who was an incredible U.S. attorney for the state of Nevada. Black man as well. So Trump gets into office. We're in the smack dab in the middle of legislative session last year. And I'm sitting on the third floor couches as I do. And news rang across the legislative building while Jason Frierson is testifying that Sigal Chadha was appointed by the Trump administration to take his place as U.S. attorney. So Sigal Chadha has since been disqualified and is now going before the Ninth Circuit. Take it from here.
So our friend Segal, having been one of the many disqualified acting U.S. Attorney Generals in Trump's roster, we now have his name, I was going to say Attorney General, thank God, no, George Kalesis, or Kalesis, however you say that, who is now the new nominee for this. I haven't heard of this person, don't know much about them, but we'll put the story, and even the story doesn't say much. It's mostly about Sigal Chadha being terrible. But yeah, Trump has appointed him, but our friend Chadha is still fighting her disqualification and arguing that she should be in that position. So we'll see. At some point, she might just start attacking this Kalisis guy because she wants the job so bad.
It's insane. She is insane. Yeah. Anyways, hopefully they replace somebody, but it does have to go before the Senate, like all nominees do. And our U.S. Senators, Catherine Cortez Masto and Jackie Rosen, they had voiced vehement opposition to the selection of Chadha. Usually senators participate in those kinds of things, so it's interesting that they didn't get to. And Senator Cortez Masto says she plans to conduct a tough and thorough interview of Mr. Kalesis, which is good, because that's what I expect from our senators. They better do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because in really important cases, like the Bundy case, goes before this body.
Yeah. Yeah.
The former Bundy case.
Exactly.
Jesus Christ. What a mess. Okay. The last thing I wanted to talk about was our school boards in the news once again. Great job, everyone. Clark County School District. Never a dull moment. Every week we get to talk about their dumbasses. This week, the chair of the Clark County School Board, Emily Stevens, she took off the land acknowledgement from the agenda without it being approved by her fellow board members. Something that's been on there for a long time. If you don't know what a land acknowledgement is, it's acknowledging the land that we live on, work on, that was stolen from Indigenous people, the people that were original to this land. And it's kind of an important thing that most bodies have kind of adopted. It mixed reviews from the Indigenous communities based on how it's done and what it looks like. But at the end of the day, it's a really important recognition of the land that we sit on and the land that we do our work on. Yeah, she just took it off the agenda. No notice.
Like Trump, just doing it because she wants to.
I was like, yeah, that's not exactly how that works. So now the other trustees and many local advocates are trying to figure out, did she do that legally, number one? And number two, why did she do it? Because she didn't consult anybody before she did it, especially not Indigenous people.
Right, exactly. That is ridiculous.
So call your school board member. If you live in Clark County, call your school board member.
Yeah.
All right, let's zoom out because there's plenty of world news that's stupidity this week.
Of course.
We didn't even put the Epstein files on here. We'll get to that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I'm looking at our list. I was like, oh, there's a glaring omission from this one. Kind of like the United States government and how they glaringly omitted so much information.
Seriously.
Okay, Amazon Ring. Let's talk about the Ring situation.
Yeah.
So, about a month ago, Nick and I are looking through updates for our Ring camera that we've had forever because we have weirdos potentially come to our house because I'm a big mouth. And Nick sees this update on there and he's like, hmm, this looks like AI technology that's like facial recognition. A couple days later, we read Ring has signed a contract to use facial recognition to identify potential undocumented human beings in our neighborhoods using Ring camera technology. We also have Arlo cameras on our house, and we promptly go over to Arlo because I was like, oh, hell fucking no, I'm not participating in them rounding up people.
Mhm.
Arlo, luckily, does not participate in those kinds of things. Now, we all know these cameras can be used for anything, right? And
Right.
I don't have any of this shit in my house, inside my house. They're using other things like my TV and my phone and my computer to spy on me. But we purposely do not have cameras inside our house. We have them
Mhm.
outside, though, because we live really far out and we have dogs, we have tortoises, we have weirdos in our neighborhood, and there's Nazis roaming about.
Mhm.
So we started doing this research, and then we were like, okay, so we shouldn't sign up for this update. Let's think about getting rid of Ring altogether. We'll keep our Arlo cameras, yada, yada, yada. So last week during the Super Bowl, we're watching, and there is a commercial that talks about the partnership with the tech company Flock.
Mhm.
And they are using this commercial to claim they're going to help find missing dogs.
Doggies.
And I'm like, and I literally look at Nick and I go, those motherfuckers aren't using that for dogs. If you can
No,
identify a fucking dog, you can identify a human
a
with this.
human.
This is to round up human beings.
Exactly.
Under no circumstances will I be signing up for any of that shit.
Mhm.
And I'm all, as we've talked about before, I'm all about missing animals, making sure they get their homes. That's why they have the chips. That's why you have, if you want to have some sort of device, tracking device, put it on their collar. Do not use your fucking Ring doorbell.
Old-fashioned posting a paper picture and your number to call around
Put
your
a
neighborhood.
collar on them,
Yeah.
like I do. You have an old
Yeah.
school collar with their fucking names and your telephone number. If they take them to a vet, there's a microchip on every single one of my animals, including my tortoises.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't need a Ring camera to
No.
do that for me. So, Ring, the Amazon, this is on CNN. Ring, the Amazon owned video doorbell company, has now canceled its partnership with technology firm Flock Safety, the company said Thursday. I am assuming people with brains who were sitting on their couch and saw that commercial, like me and my husband, were like, oh, hell no.
Mm.
Because we know this is gonna be used by ICE to
Right.
round up human beings in our neighborhood, and we're not gonna be the ones turning in our neighbors. In addition to this, the Nancy Guthrie situation, which,
Mhm.
best wishes to her family, that's horrible. Nancy Guthrie apparently had a video doorbell. You see the, person who comes in, picks her up, and takes her, putting stuff over the video camera. Now, apparently, her video camera wasn't linked to anything, and they still were able to download the footage. So once again, this speaks to the privacy issues with having cameras all over your house, right? Like you got to weigh the pros and cons of this
Yeah.
because we're living in a police surveillance state at this point.
Mhm.
So I think a lot of people who are sitting on their couch have started to think about what their cameras are being used for and what information are being gathered and given to police or the government.
Mhm.
So the smart camera company previously planned to integrate Flock, which makes cameras for reading license plates, into its community request feature that allows law enforcement to request video footage from users for investigations. That's a hell no from me. A report from an independent publication, 404 Media, last year indicated that Flock's technology has been used in connection with immigration investigations, raising concerns from privacy advocates. Flock has repeatedly disputed the report. Bullshit. I call bullshit.
Mhm.
Customers' fears swelled on social media after the Super Bowl commercial, but several Ring customers, so they did, we were all sitting on the couch thinking the same thing.
Mhm.
But several Ring customers expressed discomfort online weeks before about this partnership with Flock because this has been in the news and been coming. So, anyways, this is a cautionary tale, friends, from CNN Business that basically is telling us we need to be careful where we put our cameras, who has access to the information, and making sure you understand who you're doing business with because a lot of times this information is being turned over to the police.
Yep. And what you mentioned about when all of these tech things tell you, hey, we've updated X, Y, and Z, and it might be a lot of text or it might sound confusing. Read it, look into it. Like, remember when we would all watch like Judge Judy and the People's Court, and they would be like, you have to read whatever you are doing business with. You have to read what they tell you, even if it's you don't want to read it, read it. Read what the update says, read what the terms and conditions say, even if you don't want to, because that's where the real tea is. And if you don't agree with it, you can say, you know what, I shall not be a part of this anymore.
It's
Because
so
it
true.
worked. Because it worked because people that pay for their subscriptions were like, hell no.
Yep, 100%.
Money talks.
Always, always. Just like when people were boycotting Disney because of
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy Kimmel. It works.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Next up, Russia poisoned Alex Navalny. Go back to the beginning. Tell people who Alexei Navalny is. Obviously, hero of ours in my
Yeah.
household, in your household too. Who is he? What did he do? And why would Russia poison him?
So Alex Navalny was um, the leading opposition figure in Russia to the imperial czar, Vladimir Putin. No one has ever really been able to rile up Russians like he was able to, and he had exiled himself because of obvious threats to his life and security concerns. And like many, was in Germany, I believe, where it happened initially. And this is not this poisoning. This is
The
the
first
poisoning
one,
that worked. Yeah. The first one that gave him international fame was when he was poisoned in Germany. And there's a whole documentary about it. I remember we watched it together. It's fascinating. And he barely survived that poisoning and kept doing his work of resisting the Putin regime and doing what he could. And then he went back to Russia to say, and they put him in prison in a gulag in Siberia, in the middle of nowhere, in the worst conditions possible. And then one day, all of a sudden, he died. Just, he was in good, quote unquote good health and died of natural
this was
causes.
February 16th, 2024, while serving a 19-year sentence he
Mm-hmm.
believed to be politically motivated, which it was.
Right. Yep. And so now we are finding out that what everybody thought was true. He died because he was poisoned with a dart frog toxin.
Yep. And this has been confirmed by 5 different European agencies. It says Russia saw Navalny as a threat. British Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper said by using this form of poison, the Russian state demonstrated the despicable tools it has at its disposal and the overwhelming fear it has to put any of its political opposition.
Mm-hmm.
French Foreign Minister Jean Noel Barrot wrote on X that the poisoning of Navalny shows that, quote, Vladimir Putin is prepared to use biological weapons against his own people in order to remain in power.
Yep.
The European nation's assessment came as Navalny's widow, Yulia Navalny, attended the Munich Security Conference in Germany and just before the second anniversary of Navalny's death, which is this week. So yeah, good old Russia, back at it. Never fails. And this is not the first person they've poisoned. I mean, obviously they've tried to poison him twice. One was
Mm-hmm.
successful. They've poisoned all kinds of people. People disappear. People mysteriously crash in airplanes. People
Fall
mysteriously
out of
fall out of
windows.
windows.
Like the ballet dancer that spoke out against Putin.
Yep.
And they're like, he committed suicide, jumped out of a window. And everybody said he was not suicidal. Like,
These are the tactics
mm-hmm.
in a dictatorship. This is
Mm-hmm.
why press is so important Freedom of press is so important. Freedom of information is so important. Because once you're in a dictatorship, this is the shit that happens. All right. Europeans push back at U.S. over claim they face civilizational erasure.
And what I love is when you...
Okay. Racism is alive and well. Go forth, Maria.
Yeah. By the United States saying that Europe is facing civilization, which is fucking ridiculous, because that... And we've talked about this.
We've been around for centuries. We've been just fine.
And Europe, and this is why the world hates America. Europe is not a monolith. Not everybody is like an Anglo, blonde, blue-eyed person. Annette is proof. My mother is proof. What civilization are you fucking talking about? It has many. It has many. It has Mediterranean. It has the Irish. It has the Nordics, which have nothing to do with each other. It has Slavics. It has gypsies all over. The gypsies have their own shit all over the country. Spanish gypsies different than a Polish gypsy. You have Polish people who could be no different than German. Who are you talking about? Just say it.
Rich coming out of Marco fucking Rubio's mouth.
Out of all people.
The token brown man out here warning the Europeans that immigrants are bad and that their civilization could be erased. Now, let's talk about this. So that dumb asshole, what's the Italian prime minister who's a Trumper? What's her fucking name?
Meloni.
Thank you. So that dumb asshole, she's out here telling Trump, I was going to say Putin, same thing.
Same.
Telling Trump this week at the security conference in Munich that, they're just as worried about immigration. And we were watching Stanley Tucci the other day, and I was talking to my husband about this, because immigration in Greece and in Italy is up, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting about this is of course Italians are going to freak the fuck out if people are immigrating there. And here's why. Because for decades, everybody has had to flee Italy, right?
Mm-hmm.
You think about my ancestors. They came over on a boat from Italy because the Nazis, right? World War II. So for decades, they've been worried about their population. They're still worried about their population because their population is aging rapidly. Young people leave for big cities or leave the country altogether. And they have been worried about their country aging and people not having kids there.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't want brown people to come there, even though half their population is brown or related to brown people. They don't want other people coming there. They want Italians. Well, you're not getting Italians because the Italians have fled. So the only way to keep your country going is immigrants, you dummies. And so what I was telling my husband the other day is, well, of course they feel that way. Italians are racist anyways, some of them. And now they don't want other people coming there. But I'm like, how do you think you're going to be able to keep your population up and keep your industries moving if you don't have immigrants, you dummies?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Also, you're not erasing Roman culture. That is not happening.
No.
It's a tale as old as time. You're good. Also, these are the same people who went around the world raping and pillaging people. Like, make that make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And erase their cultures, like languages we'll never learn about.
Literally. When they were like, please don't come here. We don't want you. And we would anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. For like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. And yeah. And this is where I have to shout out, like, one of the countries that keeps bucking the trend, my motherland, literally. Spain. I think we shared this just a few weeks ago, but they are basically doing Spain's version of amnesty for like hundreds of thousands of people that are like undocumented in the country. And I think more countries should do that, because that's who actually... Let's just go back. Let's forget about like politics and which country. Human beings naturally go to where life will be better, right? Like, even when we were Neanderthals that couldn't speak anything, you went from cave to cave to see where you could get better food, where you wouldn't be killed by a certain animal.
So, Palace alluded to criticism in the U.S. National Security Strategy released in December, which asserted that economic stagnation in Europe, quote, is eclipsed by the real and more stark prospect of civilization erasure. It suggested that Europe is being enfeebled by its immigration policies, declining birth rates, quote, censorship of free speech, we should know a thing or two about that, and
Mm.
suppression of political opposition, and a loss of national identities and self-confidence. Who the fuck are we to be lecturing anybody on this shit?
Nobody.
Contrary to what some may say, woke, decadent Europe is not facing civilizational erasure, Callis told the conference. In fact, people still want to join our club, not just fellow Europeans, she added, saying that she was told when visiting Canada last year that many people there have an interest in joining the EU.
Canada's like, please get us out of here.
As
Same.
they live above a meth lab.
They're like,
Alice rejected what she called, quote, Europe bashing.
yeah.
We are, pushing humanity forward, trying to defend human rights and all this, which is actually bringing also prosperity for people. So that's why it is very hard for me to believe these accusations. In his speech, Rubio said that an end to the transatlantic era, quote, is neither our goal nor our wish, but we're doing a really good job.
Yeah, well, you're actually doing it.
Adding that, quote, our home may be in the Western Hemisphere, but we will always be a child of Europe. He made clear that the Trump administration is sticking to its guns on issues such as migration, trade, and climate. Lucky us. And European officials who addressed the gathering made clear that they will stand by their values, including the approach to free speech, climate change, and free trade. So that's where the rub is.
Mm-hmm.
Europeans, for the most part, believe in science and free speech and things that we don't have anymore in the United States. So that's great.
And little Rubio is mad about that.
It's just amazing. Is she building something over there?
My mother? Yeah, probably. Tunnel. I don't know. Tunnel out of here.
Get the hell out of here. But yeah, that's an AP article. We'll put it in the chat. You can read more about Marco Rubio's embarrassing moments and Donald Trump's embarrassing moments globally.
Jesus.
All right, next up on the depressing News Express.
It gets worse, everyone.
The United States State Department orders nonprofit libraries to stop processing passport applications. Why, oh why, Maria, would the United States State Department start chipping away at people's ability to get passports? It's like they wrote it down. What are they doing?
Yeah, it's almost like it correlates with the asshole in the White House saying he wants voter ID, will have voter ID, and that ID can only be a U.S. passport. So what are we going to do?
Make it harder to get
We're going to make it harder to get one. Yeah. Soon, you probably won't be able to do it anywhere but like Washington, D.C. probably. You're going to have to get on a horse and buggy and take yourself to D.C. like in the 1800s to get something. Yeah, no, it is in line to make sure that they're making it harder before a rush of people try to get what they will need to vote.
So NBC News, so it says Trump vows voter ID requirements for the midterms, which are this year, friends, whether approved by Congress or not. Now, there's this little thing called states' rights that kind of stand in his way. So I bet we could challenge some of this. Mm-hmm. And also, we talked about this last week. We have a really great voting system in Nevada. But I'm not going to sit here and rest on my laurels. If you don't have a passport, friends, now is the time to go and get one if you are eligible for a passport.
Yeah, even it's
don't fuck around.
Even if it's to get out of here.
So this brings me to, The Hill has a good article here on the SAVE Act. Now, this makes it sound like it's doing something really, really important, right? The SAVE Act. That sounds important. Maria, talk to us about what the SAVE Act actually is.
It is worse than a poll tax and worse and literally not allowing people of color to vote. Or even women, married women or divorced women, different things. So what it would do is a wish list of ways to limit people from voting. For example, prescribing what kind of ID. But, what kind of IDs, that are accepted now wouldn't be accepted? Tribal ID, In some states, student IDs. If you only have a passport, that limits people, right? The type of people that can vote. Then one of the biggest issues that people have pointed out is the idea of having to present supporting documentation or proof of citizenship. So having two. So not just that, but bring your birth certificate with you, if not your passport. The issue with that is if you are a woman or any person who has changed their name in some way from what you were born with, and that's going to be different than what is on your identification or the voter rolls. And so many people, especially women, were saying that's actually going to limit women, um, especially those people that know that women are one of the largest decisive voting blocs and may split from the Republican Party, especially in these midterms. That's a way to get those type of people to not vote. And then in general, people of color, as per usual.
So this week, Kristi Noem, one of many women in the Trump administration I'd like to fight in the street, Kristi Noem boasted that the Trump administration is going to ensure we, quote, have the right people voting ahead of the midterms.
Mm-hmm.
So who are the right people to vote? Not
The
me.
right-wing people. The
Not
right-wing
you,
people.
Maria. It's going to look like Nick. White men. That's who they want voting, because guess
Yeah.
who white men disproportionately vote for?
Mm.
Republicans. This is all about voter suppression, friends. They don't want our people turning out to vote. They don't want women. They don't want people of color.
Mm-hmm.
Voter suppression is alive and well. And if you think, oh my God, this won't happen, look at Roe v. Wade. We told you it was coming for so long. And then it happened, and everybody was like, oh my God, I can't believe it happened. The same thing's about to happen with voting rights.
Mm-hmm.
The same exact thing, friends. So prepare
Mm-hmm.
yourselves. This is not just like ringing the alarm bells. This was in Project 2025. This has
Mm-hmm.
been their game plan all along, because they've tried to chip away at the voting rights at the state level. Maria and I have worked against this for years. And now they're going to go at the federal level, because they have a Nazi at the federal level who wants this across the United States.
And
again, go ahead.
And this is why, if you are in Nevada and you are a registered voter, around the new year, you probably got a postcard, very colorful, informative, bilingual postcard of the dates and like a checklist for a registered Nevada voter. And I remember getting that and saying to my mom, I wonder, Secretary Cisco Aguilar is our Secretary of State, I wonder if Cisco, like he's our brother or something, I wonder if Secretary Cisco Aguilar notices that something may happen down the pike and that people in Nevada individually need to know their rights, need to know important dates, and need to be armed with the process. Because that's sadly all we have is people knowing their rights ahead of time, so that when this guy, who's literally on my screen right now, tells you like, this is not the date to vote, or you can't register to vote here and there, you know what is legal in your state. But it is going to happen, because there's a reason why we got those cards well ahead of time, I think.
So on Friday, President Trump indicated he will issue an executive order seeking to require voters to present proof of citizenship if the Senate does not pass the Safeguard America Voter Eligibility SAVE Act, which is bullshit. That is, do not be fooled by the name, people, which was passed in the House this week. Quote, there will be voter ID for the midterm elections, whether approved by Congress or not, Trump wrote on True Social around 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Also, the people of our country, which people in country are capitalized because he doesn't speak English correctly, are insisting on citizenship and no mail-in ballots with the exception of military, disability, illness, or travel. So not only does he want voter ID in place, and you have to have proof of citizenship, which means probably a passport, because in Nevada, our real IDs do not say whether or not we're United States citizens or not.
Mm-hmm.
So that means you're going to have a passport to vote if this goes through. Obviously, this is going to be challenged in courts and whatever, but he is trying to make it harder to vote.
Yeah.
So go get a passport, friends. I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah. Yeah, and this means that we say this every election. These elections are gonna be the most part
This
of
may
our
be the last election, friends.
this literally might be it. Yeah, because if he doesn't get this, he's gonna try another way to make sure people don't go vote or to ruin the results or something. Like, there's gonna be an or, and we need to be ready for that or.
Well, and not to mention they've already threatened to have law enforcement out there. They've already threatened to have ICE out there. They're going to do everything they can to intimidate people not to go to the
Mhm,
polls. So it is going to be incumbent upon people like the people who do our voter protection work in
mhm.
state, the nonprofits who do that work, our Secretary of State individually, state by state, our attorneys general individually, state by state, fuck, our governors, state by state, right? It isn't going to be
Lombardo.
incumbent upon them, regardless of party, to
Mhm.
say voting rights are state issues. And it is not the federal government that does this. That is, I mean, that's the whole reason we put it state by state, was to prevent the federal government from doing this shit.
Yeah,
So we're going to have
and
to fight back.
and I remember it was one of those things, especially that the South and, right-wing people really wanted to have states' rights because we are not gonna have one jerk in DC tell us what to do. And here we have a jerk in DC trying to tell everybody what to do.
So, anyways, this voting rights issue is going to get worse and worse and worse. So, have
Mhm,
your documents in order, have your paperwork in order. If you've changed your name, make sure your documents are in order there, especially if you're married and changed your name. If you, at some point in your history, became a citizen, have your documents in order.
yeah.
Get a passport, make sure you have a real ID. These are the things that are going to make it, for some reason, Grandpa Poopy Pants over here gets some of this shit through, you are still able to vote in November because we need every person voting in November who can. Don't let them disenfranchise you. Ugh,
Mhm.
they're so disgusting.
So gross. So gross. I wonder if
Especially
Melania
Christine. Ugh.
I wonder if Melania is gonna show up with her passport or her naturalization certificate because she is an immigrant.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day because, he's starting to chip away about, he's really trying to like figure out a way to get rid of like naturalized citizens. And I'm like, your wife is one, you dummy.
Yeah, literally your wife, the one with the shitty movie. Her.
Okay. Well, speaking of shitty things, let's talk about the Epstein files. We haven't
Oh
talked about this
boy.
in quite some time.
Mhm.
So, Epstein files were released by the Department of Justice. God only knows if the whole thing has been released or not.
Oh
Like,
no.
I don't believe a word that comes out of the government's mouth at this point.
Mhm.
The Department of Justice on Saturday and this is a CNN article, we'll put it in the chat, sent a list of, quote, politically exposed persons in the millions of files released related to the probes into convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The 6-page letter, a copy of which was obtained by CNN, includes the names of many prominent figures who appear in the files, regardless of the context, and does not specify the degree to which the people are linked or in contact with Epstein. The letter is signed by Deputy Attorney General Tom Blanche and addressed to top members on the House and Senate Judiciary Committees. The DOJ was compelled, hang on, it's not moving, was compelled to produce the list by Epstein Files Transparency Act passed by Congress. CNN has reached out to the DOJ for more details about the list it sent to lawmakers. While some of the people on the list have well-documented ties to the convicted sex offender, others are not known to have ever personally interacted with Epstein. This list includes presidents, business leaders, and government officials, in addition to cultural icons who have died, such as Princess Diana, Elvis Presley, and Michael Jackson. So, it's been a shit show over the past few days when it comes to the Epstein files. Pam Bondi was in a hearing last week and was questioned about this. They had many documents in her little folder showing that they had done all kinds of reconnaissance information on what files these certain elected officials were looking at. There were survivors in the room that Pam Bondi was asked to apologize for. She refused to do so. She's disgusting and vile. So let's go through this because there have been people like Ro Khanna and a few other folks who have been kind of going down the rabbit hole of the Epstein files for us. Thoughts, comments?
This is the most sick shit ever, and that says a lot. But this is the reason, arguably, why, other than enriching himself, why Trump wanted to be president, wants to stay president, so that he could have control over the information for all of this. And one of the things that was interesting that was pointed out by Chris Hayes during MS Now, or by a guest of Chris Hayes on MS Now, is one of the things people noticed as they were going through redacted files is that there would be like words that were redacted, and when you would, like, knowing English, put together what that word could be, it was like don't or anything with a on. And so people were wondering who got the instruction to auto black out the letters DON and why? Because someone's name is Donald, and it's absolutely sickening. It's absolutely horrifying, and it leaves you speechless. And the fact that people are afraid, like Thomas Massey, a Republican, the fact that they ran out Marjorie Taylor Greene, one of their biggest cheerleaders, and she flat out said that Trump himself said some of my friends are not going to be happy. Yeah.
So it's pretty crazy that, I mean, you know that there was a problem when all of this went down.
Mhm.
But there's been a few representatives who have like started to like really want to see things that are unredacted, start to fight to see more files. And Representative Melanie Stansbury put out a list 3 days ago. So this is the list that she saw that are in the Epstein files that she saw. So this list is on her Twitter. I'm looking at her Twitter currently, if you can see her Twitter. So this is on her official United States Congress Twitter. So you can find this. This is not something I'm just reading from. So admin officials in the Epstein files: Donald Trump, Melania Trump, Howard Lutnick, Secretary of Commerce, John Phelan, Secretary of Navy, Paulo Zampolli, Kennedy Center, RFK Jr., Secretary of HHS, Kevin Warsh, federal nominee, Mehmet Oz, aka Dr. Oz, Elon Musk, Steve Bannon, Alex Acosta, former Secretary of Labor, Bill Barr, former AG, Brett Ratner, film director of Melania. Yeah, so it's just one of those things that you're just like, well, that's disgusting. And I mean, I'm sure that the shit goes on and on and on about all these people who have now resigned or started to be held accountable. Obviously, nobody in the United States government has been held accountable because, why would they? But there's so many more, even on the left. And my thing is, if you're in here, right, not just your name is mentioned, because like Jon Stewart's name was mentioned because he was in an email, somebody emailing somebody else about Jon Stewart, right? Like it wasn't like Jon Stewart did something wrong. Like we need to put this in context, right? If it's just somebody sending an email with somebody else's name in it, they've done nothing wrong. I'm talking about there is legitimized actual evidence that they harm children or young people or women or whoever at this point, right? If you've harmed someone and you've done something wrong and you're in these Epstein files, you deserve to be held accountable. I don't care if you're a Republican. I don't care if you're a Democrat. I don't care if you're Jesus Christ. You deserve to be held accountable. And I think that's the fundamental difference between the left and the right on this. Bill Clinton's in there. Drag him to hell. I don't fucking care.
Mhm.
I don't care. Whoever's in there who has legitimately done something wrong, time for accountability.
Yeah, take them all.
And if it drags the whole government down, I don't fucking care.
Don't
Good
matter.
riddance. And
We'll
now they're
start from
talking
scratch.
the shit that really is getting to me is like the torture stuff, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I have a hard time with all of this being somebody who's like a survivor, but also like thinking about like torturing kids, I have, like, a really, really
Yeah.
hard time with that stuff. Like, there was a report that I read the other day that they were, like, taking kids' teeth out so they couldn't bite and fight back.
Yeah.
But then, like, the other part of this that kind of freaks me out a little bit, I'm interested to get your take on this. Like, some of the QAnon shit that was put out there years ago that were like, "Oh, they're fucking crazy." They weren't all that wrong.
Yeah, there's some pretty dark shit in there.
And it's like, sure, maybe you got the people wrong because it was the right who was actually participating in this shit too.
Right. It's like they front loaded what they did and accused other people to
Yes.
deflect
Yeah.
and
And it was a
confuse
whole
people.
deflection thing. Yes.
Yeah.
So now you feel a little bit crazy because you're like, am I going down the rabbit hole with the
Yeah, like
QAnon weirdos?
yeah. And I think that's after all this, whenever all this is over, if like we all die and like future generations are studying this, I think it'll be interesting, especially that like I think front loading part of all of those things that were coming out and putting other people's names in and like other locations and situations so that people would automatically go either, oh, these are the people doing it, and people going, oh, none of this is true. But then the people that were pushing out the information are the people that are guilty of this. And so now everybody's just like, everybody is doing a no matter what side you were on, a collective, am I fucking crazy? It's like
I mean,
international level gaslighting, actual gaslighting.
and again, I don't give a fuck who goes down. Some of
Anyone.
some of my heroes will probably be listed in there. No more. Take them away. If you have done harm to somebody,
Goodbye.
time to be held accountable. I don't give a fuck if you're right, left, an actor. I don't give a fuck. Take them away. They are nasty.
Mm-hmm.
Gross. We should not be fucking promoting these people to the highest offices in the land.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ugh. Yeah. I just like there's like all these videos that are unredacted, and of course, you know, they're putting the victim shit out there, they're putting the survivor shit out there, but protecting all of these fucking nasty ass people.
Yeah.
Like, I'm having a hard time with it. I have to be honest. Like, and we haven't talked about it in a couple of weeks because both of us, I think, have been having a hard time with the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a lot. It's
It
a
is.
lot.
Yeah. Especially because it is what many people experience at not maybe such a dark level. Maybe people have experienced it at such a dark level, but this is applied to so many people in certain ways. In other situations, maybe, and now seeing this in like a grander scale and seeing all the similarities, uh,
It is
it's
so similar to the situation I was put in
yeah.
at 19 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And it freaks me out a little bit because if it
Mm-hmm.
can happen at the state level, you know damn right well it's happening at the federal level.
People with a lot more money and a lot more power and a whole
And
island.
that
Yeah,
person was protected too, right?
yeah. For many years until people, and we know how to hold friends accountable, heroes, people you looked up to accountable, and them thinking it's a bad thing. Sorry, not sorry.
It just it like disgusts me on like such an epic level.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't surprise me, but
No,
it
not at
just,
all.
you know,
Yeah.
and just like, you know, I have a hard time with any of this kind of like rape, sexual assault, any of that kind of stuff. As everybody should, right? But like, I have a hard time with it for so many reasons. But then when you start talking about kids or
Mm-hmm.
people who are defenseless, oh my God, like it takes it to the fucking next level for me. These people were fucking gross, like
Yeah.
depraved.
Yeah. Leon
Ugh.
Black being I have to check this, but there were claims that he had a high position at Life Touch or Light Touch, the school
Yes,
photography company.
school photography company. Yes, that we all got our kids, like all got our school pictures from.
Yep. Not good.
Ugh,
Yeah.
it's so gross.
Mm-hmm.
So, tell us what you think about the Epstein files. Like to hear from you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And of course, you know, it would be that, you know, everybody's like, well, why didn't Joe Biden's administration release them? The literal investigation was happening during Joe Biden's administration.
Mm-hmm.
The investigation was happening at that time. There was nothing to fucking release. They were doing the investigation. When Trump got into office, he stopped the investigation.
Yeah. And there's something to be said about how there is one case is hard to investigate, right? And takes a lot of time and takes a lot of due diligence. And it also takes a lot of making sure that the victim is comfortable talking, is safe to talk. And that is like a normal case, everyday case. Let's say it's not a powerful person, just a person against a person, regular schmo against regular schmo. Add to that any level of power, which you know about it.
I mean, these were
Probably.
the most powerful of the powerful.
Yeah, in the world, all combined together. Yeah. And one thing about, Bondi brought up Merrick Garland never released any Jane Doe's name. Victims that were, bringing up cases or working with their lawyers were still safe
They
in
were
some
protected.
capacity. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now
That's
Jane
the way
Doe's
it
names
should
have
be
been
done.
released. Like, now is when people have said that their families are finding out for the first time that they were trafficked and telling them, oh my God, you're in the files.
I can't even imagine.
Horrific shit. Anyone, all of them should go down. And shout out, I don't know what other countries are doing this, but the United Kingdom, who has many powerful people
Yeah.
a part of it. I believe it's Scotland Yard has said that they have are developing a whole department just to deal with actually pushing for accountability and investigating thoroughly anything related within their jurisdiction around the Epstein files. And shout out to them because
there was I think it was the Dutch that just arrested a former prime minister for being in there and being a part of it. Like, let the chips fall where they may. If these motherfuckers got to get held accountable and go to jail, good riddance. That rubbish.
Bye.
Nasty fucks.
And if it destroys things, great. We'll start all over.
Yeah, it's already burning in the depths of hell.
It's already garbage. Yeah.
Oh, it's disgusting. Anyways, well, thank you to all of the brave victims and survivors who have spoken out, who have made this a point to seek justice, because without them, none of us would know a thing about this. And it always falls, sadly, on the victims and the survivors to do the heavy lifting and the hard work. So thank you to them for exposing all of this horrific shit. And I'm sorry that they have to go through this. Accountability must be had now.
Exactly.
All right. Well, what's your hot take of the week? Got any? Got any final thoughts for our final bell?
Hot take. My hot take is that, you know what, conspiracy theorists, keep it up.
Minus the flat earthers, because they're a little bit
minus the flat earthers. No.
too far out there for me.
If you have actual level of evidence, keep it up because
you might be right one day.
You might be right one day.
You might be right one day. Look at the aliens. Look at everything else.
Yeah. As I think, keep the dream alive. It might happen.
Minus the flat earther. That's too far for me.
No, that's we have actual pictures. They'll be like, no, those aren't real. But what I'm trying to say is this has really been driven by the people that have been asking questions and have been wondering, and it's still being driven by them because you can get into spirals of people that have people that are online who are not, crazy. Sometimes they're not even political at all. They just care about, not having pedophiles run anything or be out on the streets. And they spend hours and hours and hours just looking at this, trying to bring light to something while protecting survivors' information. Keep it up, because it has taken a long time for the powers that be to actually shine a light on this and care about it. Whatever your cause is, keep pushing it, because sometimes it takes a few decades.
My thought for this week is everybody should go and watch Andor, which is part of the Star Wars series, because it's fabulous. Mexican actor. Amazing. And it's very relevant to what we're all going through right now. Lots of the speeches are good. Lots of the resistance type thought processes are good. Really has gotten me motivated. So go watch. That's my thought process for the week. Also, the main actor, he reminds me of a young Paul McCartney. He looks just like him.
Yes, he does. Diego Luna. Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing. So
great
actors, great actresses. This is one of the few Star Wars series where I'm like, oh, there's a redeeming male character in it, because most of the time it's only the female characters that I think are redeeming in most of the Star Wars series. So this is one of the few Star Wars series that actually has a decent male actor who like figures himself out.
Yeah. Yeah. Hell
So,
yeah.
that's good. But all right, well, that's our show for the week. If you have thoughts, put them in the chat. Comments, put them in the chat. We want to hear from you. We answer them every week. If you have thoughts on the aliens, let us know. We want to
Yeah.
hear from you.
If you are an alien,
Come
drop
get
your
me.
name in the chat.
We
Slide
need
in our
you.
DMs.
I need you. Come and pick me up. I am ready to go.
If you ask us who our leader is, we're not gonna. We don't know. We're not. We're not. I will take you to Barack Obama.
I'm open. So yeah, everyone, happy Lunar New Year. Hope you have a great week. Stay safe out there. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next week. Have a great week, everyone.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.